You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
It's here. It's time to put up or shut up. State Championship Week in Jerry World, Arlington, Texas. And listen, we know now, and we've been knowing for the last few years, that you can't take championship football away from H-Town. We got 3 matchups: Houston, Dallas, H-Town, D-Town, North, South, whatever you want to call it. It's the best football of the year, and it's going to be played in Arlington. This is the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. I'm your host, Marc Henry. We're going to talk about the state championship week, but the weekend, the marquee matchups are on Saturday. We have H-Town versus D-Town, and it can't get no better. Hey, it's kind of what I've been saying the entire year. We got to go in. H-Town, you got to show up. It's time now. You know what I'm saying? That the Dallas area has reigned supreme the last, let's say 3 or 4 years when it comes to state titles. It's time for H-Town to jump back in it. We're going to talk about that and more right here on the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG, the Lone Star Gridiron Network, the authority of high school football in the state of Texas. I hate it's the last week of football, but hey, it can't get no better than this. Saturday is the season finale, and we're going to talk about that right after this small break right here on the TCG, H-Town's podcast.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
Well, we got what we asked for. We got what we thought is going to happen. All year long, we knew that 23-6A was one of the top districts in the state. 2 teams that battled each other all year in this Houston area, battling for top teams, having the top players, the top coaches, and everything. Now it's put up a show-up time. You got to go up to Jerry World and prove it. And C. King has done that. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about those C. King Panthers. They took care of business against Austin Vandergrift. This was one of those games that, you know, we kind of felt like going in and C. King had a chance to get this. Deion Sims has been playing at a high level. But listen, if you've been listening to the show, I've been talking about this since the playoffs started, that I thought Timothy Potts, the quarterback for C. King, has been playing at a high level. His ability to make plays not only through the air with his feet, but just the right decisions at the right times. And his ability to remain cool, calm, and collective under pressure and pick his spots has really been key as they've made this stretch run. Of course, they're 13-2 on the season in the 6A D2 championship, but we'll talk about the championship game here in just a little bit. And their opponent as well. We'll break those games down for sure. But 58-41 victory. They had to travel to Baylor to take on a tough Vandergrift team, which, listen, they were the state champions last year. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Corey Laxton, the first-year coach over there. But the Panthers have been kind of that team that's been bubbling. You know, we've talked about this. If you go back and listen to the episodes this year, we thought the C. King had a chance. Now, I was on record as saying I thought Summer Creek was that team. C. King takes care of business and beats Summer Creek for a second time this season. It's hard to beat a team once, but let alone twice, and they took care of business. This was what you look for. And when you look at it, you look straight at C.E. King as a team that has a legitimate shot at winning a state title. This is the first time that they've been there. It's the 10th time that C.E. King has scored 50-plus points this season. They have one of the most potent offenses in the state. Timothy Potts accounted for 5 touchdowns, including 3 rushing and 2 passing. Dylan Mitchell and Joshua Hayes. He had a 56-yard burst late in the third quarter that put them up by 3. I had a chance to see this game, and again, his ability to control the offense. I think he has full control over this offense, and of course, we know about Dylan Mitchell, we know about Deion Sims, but I think that this guy's really put himself on another level when it comes to being, a guy that has full control of that offense. I really like the way Potts is playing. Calm, cool, and collective is what I see when I see him. And it's really been in this, it's really started the latter half of the season. As I started to see more and more of Seed King, I saw Potts developing into this guy. His leadership, his ability to make the right play at the right time has been key for these guys. And that's what I think has led them to this. You know what I'm saying? They took care of business against a very good Vandergrift team who, like I said, was the state champion last year. Came into this, game probably as a favorite, but I looked at Seed King as the team that I thought that could do this. You know what I'm saying? And again, another 23 6A representative coming out of that district. And speaking of other 23 6A representatives, you got to think about the North Shore Mustangs taking care of business against Lake Travis. Now, Lake Travis came into this game undefeated. They were on a roll. They took care of business against a very good Johnson team, but North Shore had to get kind of knocked around to get focused. They after the loss earlier in the season to South Oak Cliff, they kind of, righted the ship and went on a spree. Just beating teams, dominant fashion, really handling teams. Then they get to Summer Creek at the end of the season. Everything's on the line for the district title, and they get goose-egged. Well, how about the reset button that's been pressed? And you got to look at Caleb Maryland as the guy that's been at the forefront of this thing. Coach Willie Gaston has been here and done that, as a coordinator and now again as a head coach. They're on their way to state again. And I thought that this was the team that could do it, but I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure. After that 27-0 loss, everybody had their eyebrow raised. But I really think that they have a legitimate shot. Of course, they got their nemesis, Duncanville, standing in the way. And this is what we asked for. I said this, you know what I'm saying? I thought that Duncanville and North Shore could be on a collision course a couple of weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? You can really see it starting to shape up. And I know everybody's, it's the same old teams, but you got to beat the big dog to beat a big dog. You know what I'm saying? You got to knock them off. If you don't want to see them play each other, then knock them off. Beat them. Send them home. But shout out to North Shore, man, getting back to the state title game. I think this is going to be an interesting game, and we'll talk about that game towards the end of the show. But North Shore held the Cavaliers in check. And, Lake Travis came in with a high-powered offense, averaging over 400 yards of total offense per game. But the defense shut them down. You know what I'm saying? 47 yards, including 15 yards passing. That was a dominant performance by the Mustang defense, causing 2 turnovers and just flying around. I had a chance to see this game as well. Flying around, making plays, timely defense. That young secondary back there has grown up. You know what I'm saying? And that defensive front is starting looking like the defensive front of old. But they got a tall task to deal with the Duncanville Panthers. Their arch nemesis. We'll talk about this game towards the end of the show today. But I just think that, I'm happy to see both teams make it back. Willie Gaston is one of the best coaches that maybe not a lot of people talk about. And I think you have to give him his credit. Coming in, reestablishing or keeping that tradition going. It's a tradition. It's a program over at North Shore. And, on the east side of things, they're headed to state again now. Next team we're going to talk about is the Randall Lions. Back-to-back appearances in the state title game. Shout out to Coach Randall and the Lions over there. They're going back. This is one of those teams, man. They haven't faltered this year. The only time that they really stumbled is in that first meeting with Iowa Colony, where they had a couple of fumbles. They were down 21-0, but they never panicked. That was their pivot. That was their battle. That was their battle-tested moment, and they have responded since then. Even in the second matchup with Iowa Colony, they just never faltered. But you got to look at the Gatorade Player of the Year, Landon Williams-Callis, who's been the best player in the state this year. You have to look at it like that. They've won 31 consecutive games. And guess what? They get a matchup with South Oak Cliff, who is in their 5th straight state title game. That's unheard of in the state of Texas. Shout out to the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears. We're going to talk about that matchup as well. But I think, this is probably, I would say, knowing Coach Randall, he would probably tell you this has been one of the most challenging years because they've they've gone through some highs and lows. You know what I'm saying? But traveling down to San Antonio, beating a very impressive Boarding team 40-16 to advance to the second straight state title game. A little bit different look about this team. And we're going to talk about that and more. I think you start with Landon Williams-Callis, but this defense has played well as well. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, they're going to have their hands full with South Oak Cliff. We have seen South Oak Cliff this year, and we're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about the Duncanville North Shore matchup, and we're also going to talk about those C.E. King Panthers taking on the DeSoto Eagles, who came back from the dead earlier this year as well. H-Town versus D-Town. That's what it's all about this week, man. I can't wait. We will be pulling up to Jerry World and Arlington this weekend and get eyes on all three games all day Saturday. State championship week starts Wednesday and then ends Saturday night. We're going to be in the house for it, man, but we're going to take a small break. We'll come back and talk about each of these three games, which is a Houston versus Dallas matchup, H-Town, D-Town, North, South, whatever you want to call it. I-45 matchup, 45 North, 45 South. It's going down Jerry World. I'm telling you, baby. We're going to pull up. We're going to talk about these games here in just a moment, but let's take a small break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back here on the TCG.
Hey, do you need topsoil, fill dirt, sand, mulch, gravel, limestone, you name it? Do you need that delivered and or spread? Texas Tree Cycle in Victoria has you covered for residential and commercial projects, big or small. These guys do it all. They do some amazing work. You can call them at 361-237-8006 for a free estimate. That's Texas Tree Cycle, bringing quality materials to your yard.
Saturday is going to be an epic matchup of Houston versus Dallas teams. Some of the top football in the country, forget just Texas. Houston and Dallas have, historically been where, majority of the state champions or either from one or the other each year. Lately, the last, I would say 5 years that I've had a chance to attend these state championship matchups, Dallas has been, winning it. You know what I'm saying? I would say, state championship Saturday has been run by Dallas or by Dallas area teams. You got to look at that each year, but now we got some H-Town blood back in there, and we got to fight for it, H-Town. Let's go. Let's talk about this first game lined up, 11 o'clock. Randall, South Oak Cliff Part 2. Now, last year, Randall came in, undefeated as well, but it was the Keelan Sweeney show. Shout out to my guy Keelan Sweeney. He played a phenomenal game last year, and it was a 3-point contest in favor of Randall, but I think that the big difference, and we all know what the big difference was special teams. Randall scored on two kickoff returns, and that was the difference in the game. Randall played a pretty efficient game, but, Keelan Sweeney kept those guys off balance. But this year it's going to be Landon Williams-Callis. Last year, the South Oak Cliff defense was pretty good, but that South Oak Cliff defense is really, really good this year. Jamarian Phillips, is one of the best linebackers in the state for sure, headed to Baylor. You got Marcel Gibson, you got Corday Houston up front. These guys have played well, and that's been an emergence of a linebacker that you should know about is Cody Smith. He's been playing outstanding. He's only a sophomore, but he's been one of the top players for that South Oak Cliff defense. And you got to look at that South Oak Cliff offensive line. Brian Swanson is one of the top junior offensive tackles in the state. I think that this guy's probably got a chance to be, if not the number one tackle or the top one or two tackles in this particular recruiting class coming up, as the recruiting calendar flips over when it comes to January. Jaden Williams is playing at a high level, the quarterback. He's only a junior, but his ability to make the big throws and also just his pocket presence has been one of those things that you have to marvel at for a young junior coming in making his first starts this year. But, he's a veteran now. And then that 1-2 punch of LaVon Morton and Mikael Trotter. You don't get any better than this South Oak Cliff running back tandem. And then you got to think about Torrin Teague has been playing at a high level as well. This guy's a phenomenal wide receiver. big, fast, and strong, a hell of a blocker too. This is probably one of the better teams that you've seen from South Oak Cliff. Of course, all of these teams have had their particular stamp on each season, but I think this is probably the deepest and most well-rounded South Oak Cliff team that I've had a chance to see. I've been at all 5 state championships that these guys have been, that they have made. It's got to be one of the best runs I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? 5 times, 5 years in a row, back to back, back to back, back to back, 5. And I think that this is the best South Oak Cliff team that Randall's going to see, a lot better than they were last year. So you can expect a heavy dose of Landon Williams-Callis, but that defense they're going to have to play their best game. You know what I'm saying? But I like what Landon Williams-Callis has been doing this year. His ability to just explode at the second level is just different. He seems bigger, faster, and stronger than he was last year. And I think that that's something that you have to look at when you see him get the football. You know what I'm saying? It's his ability to really just change direction so quick. Also, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield, but he runs so well between the tackles. You just haven't seen someone with this particular gifted skill set at the running back position in a long time. But we're going to talk about this next game too. There's some really, really special running backs in these games. But Randall probably has the number 1 running back in the state of Texas right now. But there's a guy in the next game that I think is on his heels, and we're going to talk about DeSoto standout Sarad Baker here in just a moment before we get to that game. But I think that these guys know that they have a chance to do something real special. That is Randall. I think their quarterback Schrabenek has been playing at a high level. His ability to make some timely throws is one of those things that you have to look at. He's really, really grown up. Mason Mixon is one of the top tight ends in the state as well. I think those are the 2 guys outside of Landon Williams-Callis that you kind of got to pay attention to. And these guys were state champions last year, but they've grown up, especially Schrabenek. Schrabenek, he's really grown up, and I've had a chance to see them a couple of times this year. And I think his ability to make those plays, he's going to have to make some plays with his arm in order to beat the South Oak Cliff team. It's not going to just be on Landon Williams-Callis' back. You know what I'm saying? He's a great player, but this Sock defense, I've seen them several times this year. It's one of the best defenses in the state. I don't care what level. It could be 3A, 4A, 6A. They play great defense. And this is probably going to be one of the marquee matchups of the entire weekend, not just Saturday, but the entire weekend. You know what I'm saying? But let's hop into the next game in North Shore Duncanville. I said this a couple of weeks ago. People looked at me crazy. They were like, oh, no, Allen, and oh, no, we don't want to see North Shore Duncanville. Well, it's back. It's North Shore Duncanville. You know what I'm saying? North Shore's ready. You know what I'm saying? But let's just look at the Duncanville Panthers, from a team standpoint. Of course, you got Hall of Famer and legendary Coach Reginald Samples, who's been one of the better coaches, it seems like, for a couple of decades in high school football in the state of Texas. You got to look at his run with, those Skyline teams out of Dallas and also those Lincoln teams out of Dallas. He made it with Lincoln one time, and they lost when they had Byron Eaton. But he's got one of the better defenses in the state as well. That features 2 Power 4 signees and KJ Ford and Landon Barnes, 2 bookends. Braylon Edwards on the back end, one of the top corners definitely in the state, and one of the top corners that you see this weekend, and Victor Lincoln. Cryer as well, outside linebacker, kind of safety hybrid, is a guy that you need to know as well. Barnes at the other corner position is a guy that you need to know as well. Arnold has been seeing some time on the defensive side as a young guy in the 2028 class. Is probably going to be one of the better 2-way guys that you're going to see before he graduates. But, that big offensive line has been playing well. But I think the difference in this game with North Shore is going to be the quarterback, Jacorian Rivers. He's had a chance to get his feet wet the last couple of weeks. Max Denson was the starter at the beginning of the season, but Jacorian Rivers has played well. I had a chance to see him play against Waxahachie a couple of weeks ago, and I thought his ability to stand in and make plays down the field, make the big throws. He made some big throws against Allen as well. Zachary Turner, Ace Theus, Trenton Yancey, and Emmanuel Ellison are four of the best wide receivers that you're going to see in the state of Texas. Of course, Theus is committed or signed now to TCU, and Zachary Turner signed to SMU. So, the talent level in this Dallas area is just second to none in the country. But you can also look at the eights, man. North Shore standing up. They're coming into this thing feeling like they're the hottest team in the state, which you can't argue with that right now. 13-2. 2 losses have come to 2 teams that are going to be playing in the state championship game. Well, one team at least in South Oak Cliff. Summer Creek didn't make it, but another team from their district, NCE King. So this says about this says everything about the strength of these 2 districts, 23-6A and 11-6A. The argument is which one is the district of doom. You got some of the best football in the country right here, second to none. You know what I'm saying? When you come to the state of Texas, this is what you want to see, man. Pull up. And, all day long, you're going to have great football Saturdays, action-packed, starting with 5AD2 and this 6AD1 matchup. But the finale of the entire weekend may be the most intriguing matchup. Listen.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. And your program benefits. Get the free information kit at lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. That's lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
When you talk about speed, these 2 teams have it in DeSoto and CE King. Now, the DeSoto Eagles, led by future Hall of Famer Claude Mathis, they had a couple of rough weeks at the beginning of the season. They started out the season on the road in Georgia. Got 70 points put up on them. Second week, they played the defending state champs in North Crowley. Tough loss. I happened to see these guys live at that particular game because I wanted to see what DeSoto was made of. And I saw right then, I knew that they would be at this point. And I said that I thought DeSoto was going to be fine. This team has played so well in this stretch run, and they have one of the best backs. Forget the state. In the country in Sarah Baker. If you have not seen this guy, turn on any kind of tape, Google it, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you want to look, Sarah Baker's there. You know what I'm saying? Just picked up picked up several offers this week. Ohio State, Texas Tech, Colorado, and Oregon since his big performance and a big victory over South Lake Carroll last week, where he just was a man amongst boys. And South Lake Carroll at the time came in as the top team in the state from wire to wire most of the year. Now, that big offensive line for DeSoto is the key. I think that DeSoto's going to come in this stretch run. It takes 6 games. This is their 6th game since the end of the season. It takes 6 games to get to state. So Rob Baker's been the leading rusher for the entire state. I don't care what classification, you can look it up. He had over 400 yards of all-purpose offense last week against South Lake Carroll. Expect a heavy dose of Baker when you get to see this guy. You got to put your eyes on him. Of course, you got Ethan Feaster, the USC commit or USC signee, out wide. He's been playing on both sides of the football. Just a superb athlete with a high football IQ, great catch radius, speed to get deep. He can run whatever route you want him to do. He can do it. But I think the guy that may not be getting talked about a lot, of course, Rod Baker's been on a hell of a run. But I think quarterback Legend Howell is definitely a guy you need to know about. Legend Howell's been playing at a high level. And I think, of course, we know Baker's been balling out of control. But Legend Howell's been so efficient and so steady that, you just accustomed to seeing him doing that. Such a smooth operator in the pocket. The arm talent to make any throw you want him to do. He's athletic in and out of the pocket, can scramble if he needs to and make plays. Like college coaches now, before you start going into this portal, you need to look at this guy as a guy that can come in and be a contributor to your team. I think that his upside is huge, and I think that this guy has the makeup to be a starter at the next level. He was 20 of 27 for 344 yards and 3 tutties last week against South Lake Carroll. Now, the big output is, we talked about Sarah Baker's performance and we talked about Ethan Feaster's performance. Legend Howell put up these numbers last week, 74% completion percentage. That is balling. Again, what's the saying we've been saying all year? You got to let your playmakers be playmakers. You got to let your ballers be ballers. Flat out. Ballers are in this game. On the flip side, Timothy Potts is coming in as one of the hottest quarterbacks left in the playoffs too. Deion Sims. Listen, what more can you say about the Rice commit, the Rice signee? He's been playing at a high level. I expect points to be put up in this game. Now, the last time we had a 6A D2 matchup between 23-6A and 11-6A, that was probably the best DeSoto team and they were the best team in the country at that particular time, and they dog walked Summer Creek. See, King, I know you got to go back and look at that film and see what you're getting into. Because if DeSoto starts, they're not going to stop. See, King, you got to handle your business. You know what I'm saying? H-Town is represented. Now, I think that they're not going to come in and be shy about this. See, King, we're talking about. They're going to come in and be aggressive right away. You know what I'm saying? If I'm Seed King, I want the ball first so I can put my offense on the field, put pressure on this DeSoto defense to make plays immediately as soon as you buckle up. You know what I'm saying? But that DeSoto defense has been playing at a high level. Coach Claude Mathis is one of the best coaches in the country, not just in the state of Texas. He's been there and done that. DeSoto won back-to-back state titles. They've been to the state championship game, I think, 3 out of 4 years. And they have a chance to win their 3rd title in the last 4 years. So this is some of the best football you can see. Man, you got to pull up for it. You know what I'm saying? You pay $20 and you get great football the entire day. You can eat and be merry and watch some great football because this is the way you end the year, with a bang. You know what I'm saying? But listen, man, the Third Coast Gridiron has been enjoying all of this, man. Myself, Marc Henry, and the whole team that helps me put this together. Shout out to Chris and everybody at LSG, the Lone Star Gridiron Network. But listen, I'm telling you right now, if you are not doing nothing, man, pull up to Jerry World and see some of the best football. H-Town's got to represent, man. We got 3 chances to win state championships this weekend. South Oak Cliff versus Randall, North Shore and Duncanville, and, of course, the finale seed, King and DeSoto. Man, step into the arena and get with us, man. I will be in the building for this, man. And listen, we'll be back next week to wrap it all up for you as the season is about to come to an end. But listen, man, tune into the Third Coast. Man, go back and listen to the old ones. See what I was talking about 10 weeks ago. I think I mentioned some of these teams as having the capability to make it to state, and they're here now, man. And I think that this is, it doesn't get any better than this when it comes to high school football in the state of Texas, bro. It's going down. You can follow me on Twitter at MarkHen44 or THCP Show on Instagram, Facebook, and also on Twitter. And then, hey, hit us up on the Third Gridiron. That's the Third Gridiron to Twitter. Let us know what you think. Hey, you got questions? You want to say, hey, Mark, you sounded, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Man, let us know. Leave us a message at the Lone Star Gridiron Network, man. But we know what we're talking about. I'm just hot-sided, just kidding, man. You know what I'm saying? H-Town representative through and through. I am your host, Marc Henry, right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron, man. Tap in, man. Like and subscribe. Check out the episodes, man, from back earlier this year and see if I know what I'm saying, man, for real. Check us out, man. We out. We'll get at you next week.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. And your program benefits. Get the free information kit at lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. That's lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.